I began to get involved with service work in high school. I was a part of student council, National Honor Society, as well as a club called Interact. Interact Club is where I partook in the most service activities. In Interact Club, I would stay after school with a group of students, and together we would prepare for and conduct clothing, supply, and food drives. While Student Council, NHS, and Interact Club were great introductions into the world of service, it oftentimes did not feel like I was doing meaningful work, and it felt like I was just checking a box for my college applications. I never felt like I was able to directly see what impact I was making on my community, if any at all, from the projects and volunteer experiences I had prior to college. This changed when I discovered the Community Engagement Scholars Program during the fall of my freshman year of college. I was on the lookout for how I could get involved with volunteering, as it was something I enjoyed in high school. The Scholars Program introduced me to the idea of meaningful service and reflecting on volunteer experiences, which is something that I had never considered before. The program taught me to think about why I was doing community work. Around the same time that I joined the Scholars Program, I decided that nursing was the career I ultimately wanted to pursue. Backtracking a little bit, as a senior in high school, I knew that I wanted to pursue a career in healthcare, but I wasn't sure which career in healthcare. My mom had been a nurse my whole life, so I was able to hear what nursing was like from her. It seemed like she really enjoyed her job and connecting with her residents. She would always tell me about her favorite residents, but each time she was talking about someone new. Hearing about her job helped me understand what meaningful work meant and what it was like to find purpose in your career. Soon, I began to think about how I could incorporate healthcare into my community experience. I got a position volunteering at mHealth Fairview Southdale Hospital in the summer after my freshman year as an infusion suite volunteer. In this position, I assisted nursing staff by keeping patient rooms clean and bringing pillows, snacks, and drinks to patients. After being at mHealth Fairview Southdale for a few months, I was transferred to mHealth Fairview's Clinics and Surgery Center, located near campus, where I held the same position through the spring of my junior year. This position was my first introduction into healthcare and the first volunteer experience I had where I felt like I was making a meaningful contribution to my community. I was able to learn from the nurses I worked around, which helped me confirm that nursing was the career I wanted to pursue. And importantly, I also learned how to communicate and interact with patients. During my sophomore year of college, I was a Boynton Health advocate in my university residence hall. In this position, I was able to respond to peers' requests for health supplies, answer questions regarding their health, and direct peers to on-campus resources. Through this position, I gained great leadership experience and connection with my peers. Around the same time that I was a health advocate, I was hired to work as a resident assistant at the Pillars of Prospect Park, which is a senior living facility located near campus. In this position, I primarily helped residents in memory care complete their activities of daily living, such as bathing, dressing, toileting, feeding, and transferring. The Pillars was my first direct patient care experience, and I got to meet so many great residents and form connections with them. Being able to take care of my residents who could no longer take care of themselves was by far the most meaningful community experience for me, and best prepared me for my future role as a nurse. A friend once told me that you know you found the right work for you when even the most difficult or unappealing aspects of the job don't bother you. That is exactly how I felt about my job at the Pillars. Hearing stories from my residents and learning about who they were before they lived at the Pillars was one of my favorite aspects of the job. Even though most of my residents wouldn't remember who I was the next time I came in for work, making them happy and aiding them in completing their tasks during my shift was all that mattered. Taking care of other people helped me establish my sense of purpose. In the spring of my junior year, I took a course called Tibetan Medicine. During the course, I had the opportunity to volunteer as an English tutor with the MN Sakya Center. I communicated with resident monk of the center, Khenpo Gongphel, over FaceTime. I learned about Buddhism as well as Tibetan history, values, and culture from our conversations. This was a very different experience for me considering what I had been doing for my community work prior. I was able to learn so much about a culture I knew nothing about previously, and it made me think about my own values and how they may differ or be similar to those of Tibetan culture. Also, in the spring of my junior year, I completed my integrative community engagement project with mHealth Fairview's Clinics and Surgery Center. One problem that the organization was having was that volunteers ran out of things to do during their shift and didn't know how else to help out. To address this issue, I created an Infusion Suite volunteer guide. This guide created a more clear and comprehensive task list that was easy for volunteers to understand. A quote that I have come to resonate with is, "Our deepest calling is to grow into our own authentic selfhood, whether or not it conforms to some image of who we ought to be. As we do so, we will not only find the joy that every human being seeks, we will also find our path of authentic service in the world." By Parker Palmer. I have come to learn that making meaning of my community experiences has helped me find my own joy and passion in life. As I approach graduation, I have been thinking about how I will continue to integrate community work into my life. When I'm a nurse, I will be taking care of and advocating for my patients every day. Through my community endeavors, I learned invaluable lessons about empathy, compassion, and teamwork. I have learned to understand myself more as a person, including identifying the values that I hold. I was also able to learn skills that I will need in my future career as a nurse. I realized that volunteering is so much more than just checking a box for an application. It is about making meaningful connections with other people, growing as a person, and finding purpose.